What do you need to see out of the Eagles offense today? We've had a couple of people text in say, close to 40 points, which I get it. We're lunatics and we're fired up. It's game day. But logically, even though you're preaching patience, I'm sure there are some things that you need to see out of the offense tonight. What are they?
Yeah, no doubt. I think you want to see balance. I think you should, if you're the Eagles, try to settle Jalen Hurts into the game. And what I mean by that is get him some early completions, easy completions to your safety valve over the middle, like Dallas Goedert. Utilize Saquon Barkley as an outlet receiver. But also, the Green Bay Packers are not very, at least last season, they weren't very efficient against the run. So I think you need to involve Saquon Barkley pretty early, see if you're able to kind of take advantage of that, and also you're going to allow Jalen Hurts to settle into the game a little bit because there's so much riding on this, and this game's been talked about, and the magnitude of it, I think, you might see some early trepidation or some early nerves, and I think that sort of alleviates that.
What do you think helps Jalen Hurts settle into a game better? Giving him some easy throws or running the football and manipulating the defense so then the throws get easier that he attempts from that point on?
Good question. I would say running the football early, and then that's going to ultimately set up those short completions. I expect it to be a very long opening drive for the Eagles as they try to implement a death by 1,000 cuts approach, but that to me would be the recipe for success.
Now, running the football. Is that running the football with Saquon Barkley, or is that running the football with Jalen Hurts and having some design quarterback runs?
I think you're going to see a blend of both, Andrew. And I don't know that you're going to see Jalen Hurts run as much, but you don't want to take that facet of his game away because him being that +1 opens things up for the RPO. It opens things up for Saquon Barkley, and also it creates space for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. So I think you'll see him do it. I still think this year you might see him rush for maybe 650 to 700. His career high is 760 yards. So I still think it'll be a part of his game.
All right. So to that point, I don't know how much you are involved in the betting landscape, Andrew, the great football man that you are.
I don't do it.
No, he doesn't.
Then John, I'm talking to you.
Yes, we're not as good a man as
his over/under in rushing yards for tonight's game is just 36.5.
I would take the under.
I would take the over.
I would take the over. If I were you guys,
the non-betting man said over.
Really? So you do believe he's going to still? Do you think
I could see a 45-yard rushing night for him?
Do you think if we were to look back on when we're talking on the check-in on Monday morning, are we talking about Jalen Hurts designed runs more, or is his yardage gained on scrambles?
Design runs.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm not going to like that if that answer is true.
It goes back to what Sirianni said 2 years ago, that we're not paying him more to do less. I think they would if he wasn't hampered, which he was clearly hampered last year, they would have utilized him more in the running game.
Do you think they're going to try to show that tonight to make sure that everybody that prepares for the Eagles from this point forward knows, I got that bullet in the gun, and we'll use it anytime we want. But they're just going to want to show it early.
Dude,
absolutely.
It's Green Bay. That's a good football team. You talk about them maybe being an NFC title
I think
contender.
They're the best team in the NFC the Eagles will face this year.
So then don't save it.
That's not a bad point either, Connor.
Why save it?
Remember when we were saying that the Eagles were saving things the last time?
I didn't. I scoffed at that. That was Dallas Goedert that came out with that stupidity.
He did. He said, we're saving some things for the playoffs.
We don't want to show everything. As Rome was burning.
And then the playoff came, and they didn't show anything else.
That was like a last grasp at trying to trick yourself into what you were saying wasn't reality.
Dallas Goedert, the building is on fire, but we don't want to use the hose yet.
No, not yet, man.
It hasn't engulfed the back deck yet.
It hasn't gotten that bad yet. We could fix this one up with some patchwork. All right, so the question for the offense, what do you need to see out of the offense today? Now, on the defensive side, you are not patient, where John and I are. It's topsy-turvy land here. What are you not expecting? What do you need to see out of the defense from the Eagles tonight?
I think you need to see pressure because you've invested so much in Bryce Huff. All of your pass rush plans are predicated on him being the player that you're expecting to be that ascending talent. I think that he needs to be able to show that he can get pressure with regularity, Andrew, but I also think there's a significant spotlight on Nolan Smith because he, to me, is the X factor, the wild card if this pass rush is to reach expectations. And I've gotten probably more questions on Nolan Smith this offseason than any other player.
Right.
And I'm of the belief that he's going to be just fine. I think he needs to be able to use his hands a little bit more. But his athleticism, I think, should be an advantage against these tackles. So when you have a young secondary, there's a lot placed on the shoulders of Quinyon Mitchell tonight. I think the pass rush really needs to be able to get home and help them out.
You expect them to.
That's
That's the thing, because I don't have great feelings about Nolan Smith. Bryce Huff is an unknown for me in terms of a full-time player. We saw what he was able to do as a rotational guy with the New York Jets, a dominant Jets defense. Let's see how he is. But, I don't have faith in Nolan Smith, at all, until he shows me anything. I have faith in Bryce Huff. I just need to see him do it as a full-time player. I've seen Josh Sweat succeed on dominant defensive lines, and I think they will be good with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I don't know what I'm getting at Nolan Smith. I have no idea.
That's fair. So here's where I'm at. Here's where I believe the game within the game is going to be. Jalen Carter versus a young right guard, whether or not that's Sean Ryan, who's only played in 13 career games in 3 seasons, or that's rookie Jordan Morgan from Arizona, who is a converted left tackle.
Wow.
That's where I think you're going to see the Eagles really dominate and take advantage of their vulnerability in the interior.
Is Jalen Carter emerging as a Pro Bowl type player? Maybe the most critical thing that this Eagles team needs to succeed this year?
I don't only think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player. I fully believe that he's going to be an All-Pro. I think he's going to rack up double-digit sacks. When I've seen the dominance throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, there wasn't a single play where he's not affecting it in some way, whether that's commanding double teams, whether or not that's generating penetration or making a play in the backfield to stop the running back. This is a player where if he's able to his early season dominance from last year, guys, he's going to be a force and a special
talent.
talent.
My day.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm really excited. What time's 8 o'clock?
We're getting there. We're less than
Oh,
12
my
hours
gosh.
away to kickoff, man. All right, what do we have on the text line, Connor? You can text the show, a specific question for Andrew, or any of our texts that we've already had coming in at 610-632-0975. Our 2 main topics today is what you need to see out of the Eagles offense today, what you need to see out of the Eagles defense today. But if you do have a specific question for Andrew, have at it. What do we got, Connor?
Justin from Delaware does have a specific question for Andrew.
From the Jump Street?
Is it school
All right.
picture day for Andrew DeCecco? That's what one of my friends was asking.
School picture. Listen, I always dress
as
sharp.
professional.
You do.
It's sharp. It's week 1, game 1. I'm all business.
Justin from Delaware asks, Andrew, what's going on with Cooper DeJean? Does he not have a place in the rotation right now?
You're right. That's accurate. I mean, I think for anyone who tuned in for that preseason finale, it was very evident that Cooper DeJean still needs reps. He needs opportunities. He's not where he needs to be yet. And Vic Fangio actually, when he recently spoke, said as much. I haven't seen enough from him. I think he's still sort of playing tentative out there. He's given a lot of cushion, at least in training camp he was when he was coming back. So I don't know how he fits into the equation. Even without Isaiah Rodgers, guys, I wouldn't rule out him being inactive tonight. We'll have to see, but I just don't know how he fits. I don't know how he fits into the defensive equation.
All right, so coming up next, speaking of Isaiah Rodgers being out, we're going to get into a discussion about advantages for the Eagles offense and the Packers defense because we played audio way back in the 6 o'clock hour. I want to play those for you, and I want to get your reaction to it, Andrew. But to that point, with Isaiah Rodgers out and you may be thinking that Cooper DeJean is not even going to dress or is going to be inactive for tonight.
Possibly.